Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Well, it seems as though things are back to normal. Dow Jones up over 400 points today. NASDAQ up 348 points today. Markets across the board up. Cryptos, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all of it up across the board today. Everything is back to normal just by the effing dip. We still have the Fed in here buying in these markets, buying bonds, buying mortgage-backed securities. Everything is just fine. And what did they blame it on today? Well, they blamed it on this whole Russia-Ukraine thing. Russia, we were told, was pulling back its troops. I was watching these markets last night. Dow futures last night around midnight down about 100. Then all of a sudden within minutes, up 100, then up 200, then up 300. By 12:30, I don't know what this thing was at. I went to bed, but it was up over 300 points from being 100 points down, and within minutes, up 308 points. So obviously, something behind the scenes was going on. We were being told that Russia was pulling its troops back. But then later today, we got the news that there was no verification of any drawdown. There was no confirmation of any drawdown. So as far as we know right now, nothing's changed. Russian troops on the border of Ukraine. But this is what we were being told. This is why the markets rebounded today, because supposedly Russia was drawing down, but yet nothing was verified. And then later in the day, even the president came out and said there was no verification of this. And markets close up today on this news. So what really pushed the markets up? Well, buy the effing dip, and you still have the Fed pumping in QE into these markets. At least right now, they're doing that. And look, they could come out this week, early next week, and raise interest rates 50 basis points. I don't know. But what we do know for sure, it's going to happen at the next March meeting. But don't be surprised if it happens before. But as of right now, investors are chasing anything that moves. They continue to believe that the Fed has its back. And we're going to see how it plays out. But I was watching some of the financial channels this morning, and most of the guests keep repeating the same old story, same old song and dance, that the Fed is not going to raise rates much. Many just saying it'll be once or twice. And they think that at some point, once this does begin to affect the markets, they will reverse course. And I say, what happens then when they reverse course? What does this mean if the Fed reverses course? Every one of these economists, every one of the guests on these shows continues to say the same thing. They're going to raise very little. It'll have an effect on the markets. They're going to have to reverse course. But what if they do reverse course? What does this mean? What does this tell the rest of the world? To me, it says that the Fed has lost absolute control of these markets if they reverse course. And if they don't reverse course, there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering felt out there. And most of these people on these shows are heavily invested in these markets, and they have to keep saying this. Their worst nightmare is the Fed does not reverse course and aggressively raises rates and shrinks its balance sheet. That's their worst nightmare. This is the worst nightmare for Wall Street. And it's going to, I truly do believe it's going to sink us into not a recession, but a depression. But it's one that is unavoidable. And if we don't go through this pain, you're going to see America turn into Venezuela. You're going to see hyperinflation. You're seeing inflation soaring right now, but you haven't seen hyperinflation. That's next if they reverse course and do not get ahead of this inflation problem. There was a market strategist on one of these shows today. He said economy is pretty solid. It's a buying opportunity. And he also said, do not panic. Again, they are doing nothing on these shows, but more cheerleading, telling all of us that everything is just fine. Although in January, food prices were up 12.8%. Energy prices up 28.8%, but everything is okay because the stock market is back up today. Jim Cramer came out and said to investors and the Fed, inflation may have just peaked. More cheerleading today. Check back with this, Jim, this summer and let us know how inflation looks. Wholesale prices rise 1% in January, up near record 9.7% over past year. Core PPI rose 0.9%. Both increases were at least double the Wall Street estimate. I really, truly hope that the Fed gets aggressive here because I went to the gas pump the other day and gas prices here in California are skyrocketing, and I'm sure they're skyrocketing where you live too. Again, you know, people out there that don't see what is happening right now, I don't understand these people. I really don't. I read an article last night on The Hedge. It's titled The Uneven Fallout of the Inflation Surge. And, you know, there's people out there because, you know, I try to get news from everywhere. It could be Bloomberg, Reuters, CNN, The Hedge, the economic collapse, CNBC, Fox Business, Yahoo Business, everywhere. And I try to be as fair as I can, not get political, and yet people out there just say, oh, JB's getting his news. He's reading the news from this site, that site, that site. Well, I don't understand. Do you want me to just make the news up? I'm reporting what's happening in the last 24 hours, and I have to get news sources from somewhere, and we have to come up with our own conclusion, our own determination of what's happening. But I think it's good to take a little bit from everywhere and kind of decipher it, and somewhere in there is the truth. But to these people, should I just make up the news and not read these articles, not watch any of this taking place on the television? Where should I get the news from to decipher this and come up with an answer? Should I just make it up? You got to get news from somewhere. And I know a lot of this news is not accurate because the most accurate news that I can report is when I go out and I go into the cities. If I go into Los Angeles, San Diego, if I start showing you the vacant stores, the vacant malls, the homeless epidemic, that right there is the most legitimate news you're going to get because you're seeing it with your own two eyes, and I'm reporting to you what I'm seeing right there, the fallout, ground zero of what's happening in this economy. But on most days, I can't be out there, you know, traveling from city to city, but I've got to take the news that we're getting and we have to break it down. And, you know, wherever the news is coming from, it's pretty much not good. I think it is very manipulated, but it's still very, very bad news. It's just, I think the real news is much worse than what we're getting. Households that make less than $40,000 per year, they broke it down. Households that make less than $40,000 a year, 66% have endured severe or moderate hardship because of this inflation. Households that make $40,000 to $99,000 per year, 56% of these households have endured severe or moderate hardship. Households that are making $100,000 or over, 32% have endured severe or moderate hardship. So I guess we all need to be making over $100,000 a year, and that'll make things better. Unfortunately, most households now are not making over $100,000 a year, and the ones that are, they're seeing hardship because their standard of living is costing much more to support. But it's really that middle class, lower middle class, and poor that are really, really suffering here, and they're going to suffer much more. I disagree with Mr. Jim Cramer. I don't believe we've reached a peak yet. I believe that we're going to see much, much more severe inflation. CNBC, soaring lumber price adds nearly $19,000 to the cost of a new home. Builders right now have got to, I think, be getting a little bit worried. The 30-year fixed rate now for a mortgage is over 4%. It's going to climb. And many of these builders can't even get garage doors. They can't even get appliances to finish these homes. And that means they cannot sell these homes. So the longer they wait, the bigger risk there is that rates are going to continue to go up, that the buying pool is going to shrink. Going back to lumber prices, they're now 22% lower than the peak, but still 3 times higher than the average pre-crisis level. Just absolutely incredible what's happening. And what else is happening? Markets up today. Everybody just elated with the great news that markets bounced back after 3 straight days, after over 1,200 point losses on the Dow Jones. Back up today. Walmart has started putting stakes inside locked metal cages to stop shoplifters from taking them. This on the Economic Collapse website last night. And I was just going over this article, and I just said to myself, so stock market soaring, we're building record numbers of new homes. The economists and all these people on these financial and economic shows are telling us that the economy is strong, the consumer's doing great, markets are doing great, nothing to worry about. But yet they have to lock up the meat in cages at Walmart. What does this look like when the inflation continues to persist? What does this look like as mortgage rates rise? What does this look like as inflation rises, as the middle class and the poor get pummeled? What does this look like as we see more desperation, despair, and more dependency on the system, as people and their kids go hungry? As people are going to be forced to sell homes, sell cars, as they're going to be forced to downsize, forced to adjust their standard of living, forced to lose a lot of the luxuries they've had over the past few years, forced to live off of credit cards, forced to live off of personal loans, payday loans, buy now, pay later programs. What is this all going to look like in 6 months? If right now Walmart is putting their beef in cages, what does all this look like as things continue to decay? Comment down below. Love to know your thoughts. I think it's going to look very, very ugly. Article from the Washington Post: highly lethal bird flu found in Kentucky and Virginia flocks, raising fear of wider outbreak in poultry farms. Tyson Foods may have to put down 240,000 birds. 29,000 turkeys were destroyed in Indiana last week. What does this mean for food prices? Imagine now that we have our turkeys and chicken industry hit with this crisis. What would this mean for food prices? They just continue to go up literally daily. Now we have the threat of this bird flu, and this just creates more of a shortage, and food prices continuing to surge. And you know, we've had a drought out here in the West Coast. Cattle prices going up. You know, we didn't get much. We really didn't get any rain here all winter, and it's going to be a very, very dry season here in California. People, if you didn't see my video yesterday, please check it out. I was out on a building site, and thanks for all the comments. People commenting, where's the water going to come from? Commenting on how close the houses were, how poorly constructed the houses were, overpriced the houses were. Also, you know, these houses were literally probably a half a mile to a quarter mile from Interstate 10 in a wind tunnel, by the way. And I was told that these homes are going to be anywhere from $650 to $750. And again, built right on top of one another. I'm sure they'll have a high HOA, maybe even metal roofs. So this is what your dollar buys you in California. But as interest rates go up, mortgage rates go up, will these builders get garage doors? Will they get appliances? Will they get enough windows to finish these homes? And in the meantime, they are freaking out as they are watching rates go up, and they are watching. They know, they have to know that this economy's in big trouble. But less people, month over month, are applying for mortgage apps. And the buying pool, look, BlackRock can't buy every house. And the problem with BlackRock and these giant companies is they're paying so much overpriced for these homes. And at some point, this market is going to crash, the housing market. Rents will come down at some point. And how does this all figure out for these huge investment companies when they buy a house, say for $500,000, and they're renting it out for say $3,000 a month or $3,500 a month? What happens when they have to lower rents? Because after a housing crash, there's going to be deals out there. Investors are going to go out and they're going to be paying a lot less, maybe half. For the same house. So if they buy that $500,000 house for $250,000 or $300,000, the investor goes, well, I don't have to charge $3,500 for rent. Maybe I'll charge $2,500 for rent. At some point, these big companies are going to have to come down, but they've overbought and they've paid overpriced for these properties, and they're not going to be able to get the rents. They're just not going to get it. And that's not saying that that's going to happen tomorrow or next month or anytime in the near future, but it will happen. Just like we're going to see the car lots flooded with new cars, we're going to see them flooded with used cars, and we're going to see the housing inventory, a flood of it coming on with new home builds, with landlords selling properties, with people in economic trouble forced to sell. We're going to see these markets flooded. And again, these companies cannot buy every home. And as these markets are flooded, as rates go up, prices must come down. And look, again, they're dependent on a certain price for the price that they paid on these homes. And if they have to slash their rental prices, that's going to hit the bottom line. And don't think for a second that these companies are too big to fall or too big to fail, because they can. Again, you pay $500,000 for a house, $50,000 over asking, and you're getting $3,500 a month. What happens when the bubble bursts and that same house is now $250,000 or $3,000, and you have other investors now buying up these homes and charging a lot less for rent? It's going to put a lot of pressure on these BlackRocks and these big hedge funds and investment companies that have come in and bought up a lot of these houses and paid way too much for them. Ukraine banks and defense ministry websites down amid cyber attack fears. Again, another reminder of why you shouldn't be keeping all your money in the bank, why you shouldn't be keeping your gold and silver and other assets in a safe deposit box in a bank. We're going to get hit here one day, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, think about how many banks, how many corporations, Schneider Trucking just hit the other day. So many companies, corporations, financial institutions have already been hit. And we look at Ukraine banks and defense ministry websites down. So they believe it was a cyber attack. We're going to get hit here one day. And just think of our financial system. If Wall Street got shut down, and it was shut down for days, imagine the chaos and the massive trouble that would cause here. Just imagine if major banks got shut down, not for a day or two, but for a week or two. Just imagine if everything on that screen that you own disappeared. So don't keep it all in the bank. Don't keep it all, you know, on a computer. Make sure you have hard assets that you can get to. Make sure that you have cash that you can get to. And don't rely on the system, because the system can be shut down just like that. And this is another reminder. Let me reinforce with you. And if they can shut down Ukraine banks and the defense ministry websites, they can do a lot. So don't think for a second that Wall Street is safe, or your bank is safe, or your investment company or your portfolio is immune from one of these attacks. It can happen, and it could really cause a nightmare for so many people. Just imagine if all of your investments, all your money just disappeared. How do they recover it? What if they can't? How do you survive in the meantime? So be diversified. Don't keep all your money in one place. And so don't keep it all sitting on a screen. The top 1% own 32.1% of total wealth. Bottom 50% own 2.5%. That on the hedge today. Comment down below. What do you think about that? We all better start acting like the top 1%. We better really be diversified. We better be putting our money where we can get to it. We better be putting some money on the sidelines right now. Look, if you've made some money in these markets, in cryptos, and I don't give financial advice, but I think, don't most of you think it's a good idea now maybe to pull some of it out? You know, just watching that Meet Kevin video last week where he pulled 99% of his stock, sold 99% of his stocks, sold most of his California real estate. He just sees too much risk out there, and he's just keeping his powder dry on the sidelines. And if you believe that the sales are coming, if you believe that there's going to be continued volatility, if you believe we're heading in the wrong direction, then maybe you better pull some profits and you better keep a little powder on the sidelines here, because sales are coming. So I'm going to wrap it up right here, but I just wanted to bring something to everybody's attention. If you didn't see my videos with Sid about a week ago when we were out at Slab City feeding dogs, feeding homeless people, giving people clothes, and thanks to everybody for the support. And we're going to continue to put that support to good use, helping people that need it, feeding dogs, feeding people, clothing people, and just, you know, helping people out a little bit and putting a smile on their face. But you know, there's always that group of people, a very small percentage of people that will comment down below, and they'll call, you know, the homeless people losers, or they get what they deserve. They're on drugs. They're addicts. But you know, when I hear people judge other people and say, "Oh, they're addicted. They're addicted to drugs. They're addicts. They deserve it." Guess what, America? Most of this country is addicted to something. We have people so addicted to pornography. It's broken up so many families. And yet those same people will judge these people. No, you're addicted. You're a deviant. You're addicted to pornography. It's destroyed your family, but yet you think you're better than the people who are homeless. You're not. We have people who are addicted to pharmaceuticals. They're taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 pharmaceuticals a day. Yet they call these people losers because they're addicts. We have people who go and spend money and run up credit cards, spending money they don't even have because they're addicted to consumption. And again, they're spending money they don't even have, and they're consuming things they don't even need. They just can't stop spending. Yet people will judge these people. These people that can't stop spending, they're enslaved to consumption, yet they're better than the drug addict. Are they? I don't know. But it's amazing how people will just judge. And yet they're addicted to pornography. They've destroyed their families, their marriages due to it. People addicted to pharmaceuticals. People addicted to spending. People addicted to food. You know, 2, 3, 4, 500 pounds overweight. But everybody's better than the homeless because they deserve it. They're on drugs. Newsflash, America. We have an addiction emergency here. And we continue to judge. And I think we all better get our own personal house in order very, very quickly. If you're addicted to something, you need to kick that addiction. Yeah, we are, you know, we all love to like eat. We all love to spend money. But if something is controlling your life, like pornography, which will do so much devastation to a family, like drugs, like pharmaceuticals, like a spending addiction, these things are going to destroy you and your family. And as we head into the greatest depression mankind has ever seen, you do not want to be dependent. You do not want a crutch going into this. Get your mind in shape. Get your spirit in shape. Get away from the perversion. Get away from the drugs. Get away from the negative thoughts. There's people out there who become very suicidal because of all this stress. Kick the crutch, kick the addictions, ladies and gentlemen. Do the best that you can. If you have to talk to somebody, talk to a pastor, a priest, a professional. You do not want to have addiction going into what we're going into. This is really, I think, going to test men and women. Because people have never been through real tough times. We've never been through a Great Depression. We've never been through a world war. We've never been told that you can't have that. If you want it, use your credit card. Worry about it later. People just look at the monthly price of a house. Can I make the payment? Can I make the payment on the car, the boat, the RV, the sand rail? This society does everything it can to not say no to you. They want you to buy this stuff. As long as you can make the payment, you can get it. But there's so much addiction out there, and they can all be severely bad. And you do not want to head down this tunnel with these sort of addictions. The addictions you should be having right now is eating better, sleeping better, working harder, walking closer to God and saying your prayers, and just getting your mind, body, and spirit in better shape. That's what we should be addicted to right now. We should be addicted to what's happening in this country, to this economy. But yet we had 112 million people watch a football game. And most of those people have no idea what you and I are talking about right now. They have no idea what's happening to their Social Security, to their pensions, to the debt in their own municipalities, to what's happening on Wall Street and how they're literally being robbed. And most of these people probably have no idea what inflation even is. When the average ticket is $6,000 and people gambling millions of dollars on a game, and I don't know what the total number was. There was one person that bet $5 million, but billions of dollars gambled on this game. And you just think like how much money has gone to waste. And, I really do believe people are going to get what they deserve. They're going to get what they asked for. And people are going to wake up one day and the life that they had previously is going to be gone. And people who had a nice standard of living, a nice house, a nice car, a nice job, they're going to see a reckoning. And I really hope that every one of you is preparing for this. I hope that you're getting a skill set, that you're getting a mental mindset to prepare for what's coming, and you're working on all your preparations from security to food, water, and barter type items. There's so many people out there that can, tell you that, oh, the economy's going down, this is going to happen, but yet they're telling you to buy into the stock market. They're telling you to gamble in Ponzi schemes. And I don't understand that. Anybody who is awake, first off, and really believes what is happening, number one, is going to tell you to get security. They're also going to tell you to be walking close to God. There is no way you can believe that the system is crumbling and not be walking closer to God and getting your security situated. Anybody that doesn't understand this doesn't get what's about to happen.